The other thing that we found really valuable in our marriage was an amazing book. And I'm sure there's 100 amazing books out there, if not more. But this was how to affair proof your marriage. His needs,
Ugh.
his needs, her needs. I tell you what, that's exactly my response when we were going through our engagement preparation, and this couple that was mentoring us gave me a book, and fair, I don't have to worry about affair proofing my marriage. As
Mm,
in my youth, I was thinking, and then I stopped. I was like, no, every marriage is potentially subject to an affair. If you don't nurture it, if you don't take care of it, any marriage is subject to an affair. So I really embraced this book, and I loved it because it talks about the 5 top needs that women have and the 5 top needs men have, and they are different. Now, the 5 top needs that my husband has are in my top 10, but they're not my top 5. And my top 5 are in my husband's top 10, but they're not his top 5. So going through that together as a couple really helped us understand what are the things he needs to feel important and what are the things for him to understand I need. So it's this constant dance back and forth, back to the ballet thing, constant beautiful dance between how you communicate together and understanding that it's not all about you.
You know what, Lisa? That is such a profound thing that you just said. We need to make a clip of just that to put it out there because that's what happens to couples. They forget to pay attention to what's important to the other person because we're always thinking about what's in it for me.
Mm-hmm.
My
Yeah.
husband calls that WIIFM. What's
What's
in it
in it
for
for
me?
me? So true. So true.
And if you're in a difficult relationship and you're really fighting and fussing a lot, go get some help because there's probably something that's underlying that is causing you more trouble, definitely than it's worth, but it's underlying and your spouse probably doesn't even know that's really the problem. Sometimes I have found that it might be your childhood. You didn't feel loved, or your parents got married and divorced several times, and people came and went from your life, or frustrations as a teenager or a young adult. You made some bad decisions and you're still paying for those bad decisions. Or sometimes when people get married, it's parents that won't let go of their kid and they want to keep, ruling them and telling them what to do when actually, when you get married, there's 2 people in that bed, and it's the husband and the wife, and too often, we all wanna give advice. I mean, I have grown kids and married kids. So, I like to say, "I think this, blah, 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 but you know what? You're gonna do whatever you feel right doing." And so I never try to tell them what to do, but it
Mhm.
happens way too often that parents won't let their kids go and they tell them what to do. So there's a lot of other things that cause trouble. And if you can't figure it out between the 2 of you, like, don't let it go on for years and years because eventually it's all gonna crash.
That's such good advice, Connie. And I would say get help soon. Get help as soon as you start having issues because it's all too easy to let those frustrations build up and then you end up saying something you
Mm,
regret saying and you can't unsay something. You
mm,
can't take it back. This never works. And because we know our spouses so well, we end up going there, that place where we know is most painful and most hurtful to that person. And,
mm.
when we're frustrated and we're at our wits' end, we end up saying something that's hurtful, and it tends to be kind of the Achilles heel of our spouse. So get help early so you don't end up going there and saying things that you can't take back, which
Some
end up just damaging the relationship even more.
and it does damage the relationship, but sometimes it's truth.
True.
Bam, they're in cave. Now you can't put it back in the can, right? It's like sometimes it's truths. Sometimes things need to be said, and
Mhm.
sometimes certain people will not say anything until suddenly it all comes out. Those people who don't say very much at all, don't complain, when they do say something, you need to listen to what they said.
Exactly. Exactly. And my husband's actually a little bit like that too. This was another thing I had to learn. I'm a speaker. I'm a talker. I mean, typical to maybe a lot of women, but I'm a talker. I had to learn that I have to pause and leave a whole lot of space before he'll say something. It's not that he won't, but he needs a lot of runway because he's one of those that he thinks through everything before he says it, which is brilliant. I wish I was a little better at that because when he does say something, it's never hurtful. It's always
Mm.
respectful and kind and is said in a really good way. And I learned over time that that's because he takes that time to really think about it before he says it. So if anyone out there is dealing with a spouse or a friend who seems really, really quiet, spend time with them and give them 10, 15, 20 seconds of silence so they can answer. And they might say something that will surprise you.
You know what, Lisa? That goes back to the communication styles because about half the people are methodical and it takes them a few minutes to think. They, like you said, they think all through before they speak and they don't have a lot of words usually. And then there are the fast paced people, which I'm going to probably think that you and I both are in that area of the half where our mind is running so fast that we already thought of 3 things to say before the other person finishes. And so we do have to learn to stop and let them have a chance. Stop and pause and not jump in. I know I used to really be bad about jumping in because I was going to forget what I was going to say by the time I really didn't realize I was even doing it, and then I was around some other people who did that, and I'm like, "That is really annoying." So it's like, we gotta look at ourselves and figure it out sometimes, but life is a process, and, we live in a world of desired perfection, and,
Mhm.
we don't have to be perfect. We can tap into who we each are just so we're kind and thoughtful of other people.
That's so true. That's a really good point. I love the I love the thing you're talking about the types of communication. You mentioned methodical, you mentioned fast pace.
Mhm.
I think you said there's 5 total, right?
There's 4 personality styles, but all of the styles you're not just one, you're usually a combination of 2 or 3.
Okay.